I'm sorry if I'm making you nauseous, guys. There we go. Perfect. Oh, you got to see one. Yay. I just wanted to start out today as we're kind of waiting for everybody to kind of come in and everything. I wanted to show you guys how cool. So you just got to see, oh, I'm very bad at this. You just got to see the hummingbird go to one of the feeders. And I wanted to show you my favorite trees, the aspens that I talk about all the time, every time I showed you around the house. They're blooming. So we have the green leaves. I think you guys can see it. I wanted you to see, oh, I hear these hummies. Oh, I hear them. Can you hear them? I don't know. Hi, Carrie. So I wanted you to see the trees. Yeah, so before you guys get nauseous from watching me try to do that weird thing, I just wanted you to see it because no matter what I do with this camera, it just blanks out the behind me. And so you guys can't even really see what's behind me all the time. And so I didn't want you guys to miss out. I didn't want you not to be able to see the hummers. So you can, if I'm quiet enough, you'll be able to hear them. Sometimes they'll zoom like right by. So I hope we'll get to see some of that today. Over that way, can you see that? All that fencing and the wood and everything, you guys? That is the makings. Are you ready? For the catio. Yes! I am going to build the catio of my dreams, which I hope will be the catio of my cat's dreams. In this space right here, we're going to fence in our porch and stuff so that the cats can go through the window, which is there, come out the window and have their own screened in catio. So how cool is that? I am psyched for that. So yeah, let me adjust this a little bit now that we are settled and we've seen everything that I needed to show you or wanted to show you. And we'll get started, I guess. So welcome to Becca's Backyard Live, ladies and gentlemen, whoever may be here. I am Becca Lori Hector. I am the host of this live stream, and I am helping run this virtual support group of sorts that we're having. And I also do a bunch of other things that are unimportant because we're here to be ourselves and share with each other. Hey guys, welcome everybody. Oh, I'm so glad to see chat's working this week. Yay. I missed seeing your little, just knowing you guys were chatting on the side. It was hard to be doing it without that. It's so strange. When I do most of what I do without chat, but it was really odd. And I missed you guys last week because we had no chat. But last week's video was really well received, you guys. It was actually viewed more times. The live stream was viewed more times than Newsstand. And that's the first time that's ever happened for me. So I'm excited, you guys. I guess people are liking it. And that's really all that matters to me, right? In the end, is that you guys are liking the content that I am using my energy to create. So I was excited for all of that. Yeah, so I feel like if you know how in cartoons, this is so silly, how in cartoons when somebody's rushing to get somewhere, they always do that slide in and they like slide into the frame. That's how I feel. I feel like I just slid into the frame just in time for the live stream because this morning I had to go to the grocery store. It's my nemesis. It's my least favorite task. I've opted out of it a lot. A lot of times I send Antonio on his own, which has been, whenever you say hi, I wave as if you can see me. Yay, Nancy. Thank you so much. That makes me feel so delicious. Inside, Nancy waves back at me because I wave. I forget that sometimes. I forget that we're not physically having a conversation because I always want it to feel like we're just hanging out at my house and talking. And so I really feed into that. And I love that. Yes, like Kramer from Seinfeld. Exactly. Like, yes, because I just got back from the market. But man, I love that this is all, it's working. I love it. Waving. Okay. Anyway. So what else? What else can I share with you? Oh, this weekend, I did like a cool thing this weekend. There is this thing called HomeCon. And so these really intelligent, brilliant minds, probably autistic, came up with this really good idea to take, because just like all of our conventions and conferences were canceled, all of the Comic-Cons and things like that were all canceled. And so these really creative people, last month they did their first one. This was the second one this past weekend. And it's basically Comic-Con panels with everybody zooming into the meeting from their houses. So it's all these celebrities or people you've watched on TV kind of calling in to on Zoom, and you get to watch their conference call like at you. And so cool. Antonio and I watched it this weekend. We had a great time there. It's mostly sci-fi stuff, Comic-Con type stuff. And I was so excited because one of my all-time favorite shows, other than Fringe, which is my favorite, but more recent favorite show, is called Dark Matter, and it's already been canceled. It's already over and gone. But it was such a good show, and I had so much hope for it. And I love Melissa O'Neill. She was in it, and she's also in a show that is out now called The Rookie, and there was a rookie panel. So everyone was there for that, and I got to see her. And then they did a Dark Matter panel. What? So my little mind was so blown, only to be topped off by an Orphan Black panel. So if you watch sci-fi, those are like my shows. I felt like if they were like, here, Beck, here's a convention for you, just you, the things that you like. And guess what? You don't have to get out of your PJs to go or stand in line. Boop. And it was like $15 on Twitch. So if you are a Comic-Con fan, I am hoping that if we all want it enough, they will do another one. And so I hope that they will. It's called HomeCon, so go check it out and keep your eyes open because I hope that they do another one. It was super affordable, super fun. And Antonio and I won a one-on-one call with Michael Rooker from Guardians of the Galaxy. Hello. So fun. He was such a cool guy. And he, in his panel, had talked about Colorado. So we were like, hey, let's put him to win a one-on-one. If we do, we can show him Colorado. Yes, Carrie, thank you so much for loving Orphan Black. Oh, I love the show. Oh my goodness. Okay. But anyway, that has all to do with me, and that's all my crap from this week. Mostly coming to you. It's like they plan. I'm telling you, it's like they plan for, they're like, oh, Becca's live. Let's drive by the house. Anyway, so what else was I going to say? Oh yeah. So that's what I did in my weekend, and enough about me. I want to move on to us and like our crap, right? So I'm talking a little fast, I feel like, and a little loud. I'm going to take it down. That's coming from the energy of just arriving here like Kramer. I'm going to take it down. I'm going to talk about some serious stuff today. Oh, yay. And oh, Carrie, you're watching the Crip Camp kickoff. Oh my God, I have to catch up. I have so much stuff to watch. Ugh, I am so excited. Anyway, so this week, what are we going to chit chat about? Well, I wasn't sure. I'm really loving the format of this. Really digging how it's working for everybody. I'm getting other viewers that I wouldn't expect, but I'm getting a lot of the people that I love the most from our group, from the newsstand groups, and that makes me like inside smile. I don't know how to express that. I don't know what that feeling is because I have alexithymia, as we discussed last week. So whatever that smiling on the inside feeling is, that's what it gives me to right, Nancy? Thank you. I'm sorry. I should stop paying attention to chat and catch up later. But that's kind of like, what was I talking about right before that? Ooh, it just disappeared. Anyway, I'm liking the format. Really happy with all the different kinds of people showing up. Smiling on the inside, right? That's what I was saying. That it makes me smile on the inside. That the people that in my head I secretly love from our group and I love what they bring to it are the ones that are showing up to the live stream. It makes my heart big, kind of like that cringe thing. So yes, thank you for that, and thank you for your constant support, you guys. It feels so amazing to be like throwing my innards out into the public like sphere. And having you guys be there. There's a handful of you that I know are always there for everything. And I can't tell you how goosebumps. I just gave myself goosebumps thinking about how much that means to me. So thank you for that. And let's move on. So I didn't know what to do for a topic for this week because I had a bunch of ideas. We did alexithymia. It was so much more popular than the other ones that we've done, the live streams, that I thought I'm onto something. So let's continue kind of along the stream of these types of topics. Right? Not so woo-woo-y, very autism-y, and let's see how we grow from there, right? Let's see if you kind of grow into it a little bit. So yeah. I did that, and then I wrote down a list of a whole bunch of ideas that I had, and I just threw it into the Newsstand Facebook group. No offense, Newsstand the LinkedIn group, but you guys are a lot less active than the Facebook group in real time, because that's just the nature of Facebook versus LinkedIn. So threw a poll in there for a bunch of ideas, and you guys voted that anxiety and depression is what we are going to cover today. So because I babbled on for so long, and because anxiety and depression are such juicy topics, it is probably going to be a little longer than I usually go, maybe 10 or so minutes more, but who cares, because the information is going to be important, and what we talk about it is going to feel important, or I hope it feels important. In any case, anxiety and depression. Yeah. Really, really, really good friends with anxiety and depression. Like, we're super tight. We hang out all the time. I mean, I don't know who I'd be without anxiety and depression. And I realize I'm making a joke out of it, but genuinely, that's how it feels. I think anxiety and depression have been co-occurs for me. And for those of you not in the autism world, when you're autistic, you have all the possibilities of anybody else to get any mental health disorder. We process information differently, but we're still human and have human brains, and therefore are susceptible to human illnesses. So that out of the way, I am autistic, and I also happen to have major depressive disorder and major anxiety disorder, in addition to a couple of other things that maybe we'll cover another day, like body dysmorphic disorder. I don't know if you guys deal with that, any of you, but maybe I'll cover that as a topic. Maybe we'll talk about that, because I know for a lot of us, it's a big topic. But for me, other than all of my other alphabet soup labels that I got with my autism diagnosis, anxiety and depression are the long-standing runners, my best friends, I guess I want to say. I know them so well, and they know me so well. So well, and that's how I feel about it. It's been a lifelong, almost, it feels like lifelong relationship with these struggles of anxiety and depression, and I do them together, right? So here's the deal: I could have done a live stream on anxiety and done another one on depression, but in my brain and the way I understand them and the way I look at them, they hang out together all the time. And so when we talk about one, it's hard not to talk about the other. So I feel like when I picture them in my head, they like hang out like Tigger and Pooh. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're together all the time. And that's how I feel about it. And one kind of feeds into the other and all of that kind of jazz. So for me, those are big ones for me. And that's why I think I thought of them as topics, right? I'm trying to come at it about things that I know are important to me until you guys start telling me what's important to you. So let's talk a little bit about autism and those co-occurs. And please, you guys, please don't say comorbid conditions. This is one of my pet peeves. Professionals, if you're watching, or parents, if you're watching, please don't use the word comorbid. So don't say that your child has comorbid OCD or comorbid depression, or that's terrible, right? You basically, I mean, we have taken the word morbid, and even though what it means in Latin, you're using it correctly. When we use the word morbid in society, that is not what it means, and it is not a kind word. So instead, I suggest using co-occur, because they are a co-occurring condition to the autism, and that really accurately describes what's going on, right? So anxiety and depression are my biggest, most challenging co-occurs, and I think that's the case for many autistics, for multiple reasons, but mostly, and most importantly, I think they are the biggest co-occurs for those that are diagnosed late in life with autism, right? And I think that's because anxiety and depression not only feed off each other, right, but they feed off of trauma. And that's what it is. So I figure, like, you want your anxiety and depression to get big and fat, why don't you go ahead and introduce a whole bunch of trauma, right? And then you'll get nice, big, fat, juicy anxiety and depression. And that's what happens to those of us on the spectrum who don't get diagnosed. It's something we're living with all the time, and we are constantly having similar, same kind of traumas over and over and over again our whole lives. And what starts out as a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of depression, or maybe a little worry and a little sadness, right, becomes these huge things. And so something I say all the time, and I will continue to say it all the time. Are there days that I hate my autism? Yes, but there are more days that I hate my anxiety and depression. Okay, I couldn't be more honest and more truthful. I struggle with my autism, but not as much as I struggle with my anxiety and depression. That's been a lifelong thing. You know, they've sort of, as I said, they've grown with every trauma. They like one up with each trauma, and they do hang out together. And why do I say that? Okay, well, I say that because as we talk about time, let's think about time, right? I talk about time all the time. I talk about it because it's our one non-renewable resource, right? It's the one that you get, you know, some unknown amount of time, right? That goes with your human life. And when that time is over, it's over. When you give it away, it's gone. You can't plug in and get more. You can't pay $100 and get some more. You can't just get it, right? So while we talk about our spoons and the energy that we use, those kind of you recharge and the spoons come back. But time doesn't have that flexibility. Time is a non-renewable resource. And so when you give away your time to other people, please make sure you treat it with the value that it has. And when you take time from other people, please make sure that you value that as well. But I digress. Time, right? So why is it so important? I talk about mindfulness all the time. And the reason I talk about mindfulness and time together is the whole goal for mindfulness is to be in the present, to be in the now. And when you read the more philosophical understandings of it, it's like reality only exists in the now. You can only effectively impact the now, right? If you're talking about a story that happened, you're already talking about the past. If you're talking about something that's coming to be, you're talking about the future. But that's not something neither can you do anything about, right? And you're right here in the present. And so why do we get depressed and anxiety? Why do we get depression and anxiety, right? Well, here we are in the present. Maybe the present is uncomfortable, or we don't like it, or something bad is happening in the present, or we've had some trauma in the present, right? And so we begin to look forward in concern for what trauma may come. Okay, we look forward into the future, and then in concern for the repeat of traumas that have happened in the past, we look backwards, right? So when we are thinking in about either of those things, something that's happened before or something that may happen in the future, right, we are not here. And that, I think, is the ultimate cause of all of it, because I feel like when you're here, you can't have anxiety and depression because you're too busy being in the now. See, if I'm super focused on our conversation and what I'm talking about to you guys right now, there is no way that I can be preoccupied extensively with what may happen next or what happened at the supermarket right before I got here. I can't. Not if I want to be engaged with you guys 100% here. Okay. So what do I get anxious about? Well, let's think about that. What do we get anxious about? We get anxious about a lot of things like the unknown. We get anxious about what may or may not happen when we get there. We get anxious about did we prepare properly for what's coming? We get anxious about the future. The anxiety comes from thinking too much and too hard about controlling the future, right? And then when you think about depression, right, where does that come from? That depression, right? You dwell on all of the things that led up to the now, right? You dwell and you dwell and you dwell, and it's so sad, and why did it all go wrong, and that, right? And you are focused on the past. And what can you do to change the past? Goose egg, a whole lot of nothing, right? So because you can do nothing about it, it's sad, and that's depressing. So when you hang out not in your present and you hang out in your future, or you hang out in your past, you're just egging on the anxiety and depression. And here's the great thing. They are partners in crime. They feed off each other. They never want the other one to get too much, right? They always want to be the winner. Anxiety wants to be the winner. Depression wants to be the winner. And when we are listening to both of them, or we're focused on both of them, we are most definitely not here in the now. And when you're not in the now, you can't change the future, and you can't fix the past because you're too busy not paying attention to what's happening right now, right? And so when you think about it, if you just use the mindfulness technique of staying present in the now, being here in your present, right, in order to impact your future and correct your past, right, you're here. And that piece of mindfulness keeps you from obsessing in the future and causing your anxiety to trigger, right? And it keeps you from thinking about the past and allowing your depression to get triggered. And so it keeps you kind of in this very present, balanced place, which is great. Now, can you stay there all the time? No. Does everybody fall one way or the other some of the time? Of course. Especially those of us who have had a lifetime of trauma and now have anxiety and depression as best friends, right? And here's the great thing. They are conspiring against you. And I say this because I've had these experiences. I've had them with people. And so where you are a group of three, and you can be friends with one, you can be friends with the other, but it's really hard to be friends with both. And behind your back, they are friends and doing something else to you, right? And so anxiety and depression hang out together. When you are busy worrying about the future and giving yourself anxiety, depression comes and knocks on the door and says, well, I know you're worried about that, but there's also the possibility that it could go down the way it did 8 years ago or 2 years ago or 8 months ago. And so can happen. And that's so sad. And remember when that happened? And that was the worst. And oh my God, that's so sad. Oh, but anxiety won't be outdone. Of course not. Well, don't worry about your past. Anxiety says there's nothing we can do about it, but we can change the future. We can do something about the future if we plan it, if we control it, oh my God, and you're hanging out with anxiety. Right? And so they kind of pull you in those directions. And if you can take some thought and practice the pause and sit in the discomfort that the anxiety and the depression might be causing you, right? You can swing yourself back to the middle and say, yes, that's how I'm feeling in the now. What can or can I not do about it? And what's happening in the now that I should be paying attention to instead, so that the past doesn't repeat itself and so that the future doesn't happen in a negative way? Is there anything that I can be doing in the now, right? And it usually comes down to something very small and simple to kind of get yourself going, to kick off the inertia and to get going. Now, that's a very kind of base explanation for it and a base idea of how I handle it. And it's not perfect because there are definitely days when anxiety wins and keeps me from doing something that I want to be doing, and absolutely keeps me away from the present and not here in the now. And there are definitely times, more so these days, that depression can drag me there. I'm working on that. I'm trying to learn from my past without staying stuck in it, if that makes sense. Because I feel like that's my catalyst. That's my opening to kind of living with the depression a little bit better. And that's really the way I want to say it, right? We are living with anxiety and depression. And once you've kind of gotten there and that's been triggered for you, it's super hard to unlearn those things. And it's super hard to make them go away because they've usually been caused by repeated traumas. And so they don't just disappear. They're kind of going to be your best friends forever. And so how do we make sense of that? It's kind of like how at the same time can it be something that we can control with our minds and yet simultaneously not be something that we can control at all? And why is it that we can't get rid of it entirely? So I want to answer that for you. I'm not sure that this is the answer, but this is my answer. This is the way I have come to terms with it. And it's that they serve a purpose. My anxiety and my depression at this point in my life serve a purpose for me. Not only are they part of who I am because I've lived with the experience of them for such a long time, but they also serve a purpose, and it's not necessarily a bad purpose all the time. It's only a bad purpose when it becomes so all-consuming to one or the other, right? Past, future, anxiety, depression becomes all-consuming that we can't ever pay attention to the present, right? That's the thing to avoid. But in small amounts, they mean something, right? They're a communication. They're a way of our brains telling us something, right? And I saw this great meme this week that I'm actually going to share on my page on Sunday, but I'm going to share it with you guys now because I want to leave you with these ideas, right? I think they're really important. It's an important way to look at it. So I don't know if you'll be able to see the meme very well on my phone, but I'm trying. But yeah, so what it says, it's from Mellow Doodles, who I happen to really, really like. She does a lot of mental health doodles on Instagram, so go check her out. But what it says is what depression and anxiety might be telling you, right? What are they trying to tell us? They're there for a reason. You know, we can understand them intellectually. We can use mindfulness techniques to keep them in check, but they exist for us for a reason, right? So what are they trying to tell us? Well, here are her examples, and I thought they were perfect and on point for us, you guys. Your lifestyle is too stressful, could be a reason, right? You have toxic relationships, could be a reason. You need to change your environment. You're on the wrong path. You should be kinder to yourself. You need to address something in your past, right? So how much do I love this, right? They serve a purpose. So if they're ding-a-linging and knocking on you and bothering you and getting in your way, well, let's give them a little bit of attention. Let's ask them why are you here? What is it that is happening in the now that is triggering these feelings? Well, they're so genius. It's all about things that we talk about all the time, right? Your lifestyle is too stressful. Well, hello, if fucking anxiety and depression aren't your yellow lights about before the red light of burnout, right? When you're starting to shut down, anxiety and depression are always hanging out. They're always really busy. Why? Because they are trying to tell you your life right now is too much for you. You need to lighten your load, right? You need to do some recharging. You need to do something, right? And if you ignore them for long enough, burnout will arrive, right? And so, you know, that's super important. It's a super important thing to be telling us. You have toxic relationships, right? Are your relationships draining too much from you so that you can't be in the now? You can't use your focus to be here, and instead you're falling, right? Is it somebody in your circle? Is somebody you're allowing too close in your circle where you haven't set clear boundaries? And that kind of thing. Is it a relationship you don't need that you could get rid of entirely, right? But it's so important, right? Crazy. You need to change your environment. Ding, 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 ding. I can tell you for a fact that my anxiety rises and peaks when I'm having sensory overload. If I'm having too much sensory input, holy crap, do I start to get anxiety. Actually, after that, if I push it for long enough, once I'm through the thing, the depression will come in and be like, hey, you paid attention to anxiety too long. Let me remind you how sad it is that you still haven't figured this out. And depression comes in, right? So important to be paying attention to that. Is there something simple you could be changing or making an adjustment to that will help you to feel better, right? You're on the wrong path. This is another favorite. This one for me is this one. Depression uses this one a lot with me, right? Being on the wrong path drains your energy. Not following your purpose, not staying truthful to who you are, not staying in alignment with your authentic self. Woo, is that exhausting? And just depression. Love to feed off your exhaustion, right? And so we have to think about that. Am I on the wrong path? Am I feeling this way because I'm putting my energy into something I don't really care about, right? That's crazy. But it could be part of it, right? You should be kinder to yourself, right? Instead of being mad at myself that everybody's driving by every time I try to share important stuff with you guys, instead, I'm gonna be nicer to myself. I'm doing my best, man, right? I'm trying to share my experience with you. I'm trying to use a metaphor that I use inside my head to understand. But is it perfect? No. I'm sure you guys have found holes in it already, right? But it's the way that I understand it. And I'm just doing my darndest, right? And at least I'm out here doing is the way that I look at it. And I hope the way that you guys look at it. Let's see. So be nicer to yourself. Stop being so picky. My anxiety also ticks up as well. They actually come up together if I start to pay too much attention to the outside noises, right? That's a trigger for me. You need to address something in your past, right? So here's what happens. Every time we have a trauma, there's a lesson in it. There's always a lesson. And I don't care what anybody says. It can be as terrible as you want or as small of a trauma as you want to think about, but there is a lesson in it, whether it's a lesson about how you want to react differently or a lesson in a boundary you need to put up or anything, right? There's a lesson in every trauma. So if you haven't addressed one of those past traumas, if you haven't really worked through it and taken your lesson from that trauma, then maybe it's time that you do, because depression and anxiety like to remind you about all of your open wounds. That's a big fun play. They go swimming in your open wounds together, right? And so we want to heal that stuff up. And so I loved this meme. I thought this was such a good meme, and I can't wait to share it. I'm sorry the wind is picking up. I know you guys hate that. I hope it's not too bad. We're almost done here anyway. I don't want to go on much longer. I want to leave you with that idea that you can have some power and control over your anxiety and depression. You can start to make lists of your triggers, right? And figure out what they are so you can be aware of them and maybe try to adjust them, or at least just know that if they might trigger you, right? And then, it's really, really important for us, I think, to remind ourselves that even though traumas are awful and they created this anxiety and depression that hang out together for you, they had a lesson in them. I wouldn't be who I am without my traumas. I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I'm able to share with you guys if I hadn't had my traumas. So in essence, respecting that the anxiety and depression serve a purpose, and so do your traumas, and understanding that without having negative things, you can't have the positive. Positive wouldn't exist without negatives. And so getting the positives out of your negatives is the ultimate balance. But before I get too philosophical, too woo-woo here on a live stream, let us close up our thoughts on that. This is how I process my anxiety and depression. I hope some of you will relate and have had similar experiences, and hope that this helps you. But I also hope that those of you that have different experiences from me will share that with me, not only so we can continue having this crazy good support group, but also because when you share with me, I get to learn from your lessons, right? I get to learn from your traumas, and I get to share that with the next guy, and that's dope to be able to do. Absolutely cool. So share with me. You can comment on my videos wherever you see them on social media. You can also email me directly at info@beccalaurie.com. And I'm going to catch up and chat really fast. Oh, I love that you guys are having this conversation. Oh, I love it. Thank you guys so much for keeping up in chat and talking to each other. And again, I'm going to remind you again, we spend so much time together, you guys, talking about the real stuff. I mean, I don't talk to you about bullshit. We are talking about real stuff when we're here, and you guys are all choosing to spend your time, your non-renewable resource, with me and everybody else in this group. So please reach out to each other, use each other as a resource, make friends on Facebook, connect on Instagram, whatever it is that you want to do. Switch emails, but share with each other, because we're all walking this path and we all kind of want to walk it similarly, or we wouldn't all be drawn to this group, right? So like begets like, hang out with each other, bring your people that you think also could benefit from this and add to the conversation, because it's important that we continue to do this. And as the wind picks up, I am going to say adios to you guys. I'm going to go eat lunch and do all kinds of relaxing now that I'm done with this and the supermarket. But before I go, I want to just remind you guys to sign up for my newsletter if you haven't signed up for it, because I will be putting a discount for my webinars in the June installment of monthly musings on my website. So if you go to beccalaurie.com, that's LORY, you can sign up for the newsletter there. And if you go to the webinars tab, you guys, guess what? All 3 units are now up. So all 3 units of Self-Defined Living, A Path to a Quality Autistic Life, are now up. Unit 1 is Stepping Forward. Unit 2 is Fortify Your Focus. And Unit 3 is The Act of Thriving. And I now have multi-unit packages that are discounted packages for all 3 units. So you can buy single units of your choice. You can buy 2 units of your choice or all 3 units. And if you want to, you can even get the ultimate package, which comes with all kinds of extras. So I hope you guys will go and check it out. I hope to get some sponsors again this time. Don't know how that'll go. But please check it out. Consider registering. Consider taking advantage of the packages, because they do make it cheaper for you and they do come with a bunch of extras. I don't know that this offer will come out again. This is like my beta go through of all of them. So I don't know if I'll switch it up, and it will definitely be a higher price next time around. So go check it out, and you can catch the units as they come out, because I'll be doing them live on 3 different dates, and there will be a live Q&A following each of those live recordings. And that's it. I'm done selling things, but please go check it out, because I'd really like to walk this journey with you, and I want to share the tools that I have with you in a way that you can use them. So go check it out, beccalaurie.com. Email me at info@beccalaurie.com. I will be back here on this channel on Friday with Neurodiversity Newsstand, our summary of the neurodiversity news for the week. And then again, I will be back next Tuesday doing another live stream just like this of Becca's Backyard Live. I think next week I'm probably going to do Shutdown and Burnout, but because that came in number 2 in the poll, unless something really amazing happens this week that I need to share with you and it comes together about another topic. Other than that, you guys, thank you to all you guys out in the UK who stay up late to watch me live. Thank you to all you guys who take the time here in the United States to make time for me in your schedule. And if you didn't catch it live, but you're watching it on replay, thank you for taking this 36 whatever minutes to spend some time with us and go on this journey. I look forward to hearing from you guys. I will see you on Friday, and then I'll see you on Tuesday. Follow me on social media if you want to see me in between. Have a good one, you guys. I'm going to go eat lunch and hang out with my pups. Bye. Waving. Bye. I'm pretending you're all waving back because you love me that much.